Well, good morning, everyone out there in the Center for Spiritual Living at the Los Angeles Digital Space. It is such a blessing to be joining you 2 weeks in a row. I can't even believe it. Yeah, let's get this service started off with some music, some energy, some light and life. Let's get it. Me and all my friends, we all misunderstood. They say we stand for nothing and there's no way we ever could. Now we see everything that's going wrong in the world and those who lead it. We feel like we don't have the means to rise above and beat it. So we keep on waiting, waiting on the world to change. Now we keep on waiting, waiting on the world to change. It's hard to beat the system, and we're standing at a distance, so we keep on waiting, waiting on the world to change. That's right. And if we had the power to bring our neighbors home from war, they would have never missed a Christmas. No more ribbons on the door. When you trust your television, what you get is what you got. When the only information, oh, they can bend it all they want. That's why we're waiting, waiting on the world to change. Now we keep on waiting, waiting on the world to change. We trust the television, it's better at a distance. So we keep on waiting, waiting on the world to change, yeah. So we're waiting, waiting on the world to change. And now we keep on waiting, waiting on the world to change. One day our generation is gonna rule the population. So we keep on waiting, waiting on the world to change. And now we keep on waiting, waiting on the world to change. Waiting on the world to change. Waiting on the world to change. Waiting on the world to change.
Good morning, James Harper.
Good morning. Great to see you again.
It's great to see you again as well. So happy Sunday to you.
Happy Sunday.
I'm so glad that we're getting to do this together again after last week's live service. So thank you
Indeed.
for being here.
Oh, that was so fun.
And also a big congratulations to you. I'd love our community to know that you are functioning on very little sleep right now because you just did two-night gig with Danny Elfman at the Hollywood Bowl.
Yes, it was one of the best nights of my life, honestly. Yeah, such musical energy and creativity, and yeah, I'm happy to bring that energy here
I
this
love it.
morning.
So we're so proud of you. I just want you to know that as a community, we're just so very proud of you that you're stepping into your power more and more and more as the days go by in life. So congratulations, a very well deserved opportunity for you, and to not sit back and wait for the world to change, to be the change that you desire to experience in life. So
Thank you. That
yeah,
means a
so
lot.
thank you for being here this morning with some heavy lidded eyes and riding on the high energy from the night before and probably fatigued at the same time. So
You can't tell. You can't
we've
tell.
all been there. So we understand that and know that it's, we honor you, celebrate you, and appreciate you. So we'll see you in just a bit.
Sounds good.
Cool. Good morning, everyone. I'm Reverend Dr. Keith Cox. I'm the spiritual leader here at the Center for Spiritual Living, Los Angeles, and welcome to our Sunday morning celebration service. It is Sunday morning, October 30th in the year 2022, and it is my pleasure and my honor and my open-heartedness to be able to share this time with you today. We have a really beautiful service planned for you, and know that it is the intent of all of us that are participating in this service today to provide to each and every one of us a welcome home in our hearts to the remembrance of who we are as a divine being. I'm going to introduce in this brief moment, if she's ready, Dr. Maureen Hoyt, who is our guest for the day, who many of us know, and she's beloved. Camera back on. She's beloved in our community for many, many, many years. Ladies and gentlemen, and everything in between and beyond, the one and only Reverend Dr. Maureen Hoyt.
Good
Good morning.
morning.
Good morning. Thank you for saying yes to the spontaneous invitation yesterday to come be in conversation with me today.
Spontaneous it is. Yes.
Right. So I'm so looking forward to that, and I know our community is very excited to be able to share this with you. And so thank you for being here, and look forward to sharing that conversation with you a bit later.
Yep.
All
Thank
right,
you.
so we'll see
Thank
you
you.
in a bit. So, good morning, everyone. Welcome to our virtual space. And we come together every Sunday morning to remember who we are as divine beings, to not sit back, like the song says, and wait for the world to change, but to be a conscious participant in the evolutionary change that is always making itself known. And to remember that we get to play a role in that to the degree that we want to become conscious of the power that we're imbued with. And so today I honor for each and every one of us, whether we're here through our Zoom and or through Facebook Live, or later through our YouTube channel, however you may be finding this time and space continuum that is happening in this moment, known as the Center for Spiritual Living Los Angeles, that it is a space that is curated in mind to be welcoming, to be honoring, and to provide a space for inquiry, to be able to question and inquire what life itself means. And so without further ado, I'm going to place onto our screen our slideshow to get our service started for the day and get it all underway. And so we are the Center for Spiritual Living Los Angeles, and I welcome each and every one of you into our home, into our community. We like to begin our service on Sundays mornings through the act of namaste. The namaste, as a Sanskrit word, means I bow to you in its most literal sense. And its modern day interpretation, it's the power, the God, the divine, the energy within me honors and acknowledges that within you. And so I invite us all to do as the beautiful woman on the screen is doing and put our hands together in prayer position. Take a deep breath in. And as we exhale, just close our eyes for a moment, anchoring into the space that we're in here, the energy that we're feeling from the moment. Raising our hands to our lips, to our third eye, back to our lips for another blessing, to our heart, and bowing forward, let's say together, Namaste, I bow to thee, I honor the power in you. We come together on Sunday mornings and welcome all races, all religions, all countries of origins, all sexual orientations, all genders, all abilities, for we all are all of life itself. My favorite quote that I love to speak of on Sunday mornings, and will again this morning, is one from Ernest Holmes, the founder of the teachings of the science of mind, and it's that spirit has placed the stamp of individuality upon itself and called it you. That you, we welcome. In this community, we welcome one and we welcome all. And so know that whether we're in person once a month or here online, know that the energy that we are extending to you is one of welcoming and honoring, as I stated before. As a community, we've come together for over 30 years among many other communities known as Centers for Spiritual Living, and teach primarily the philosophy, faith, and way of life known as the science of mind. This compilation of all the great teachings in the world that was published in the early 1900s was done so by Dr. Ernest Holmes. His whole orientation towards this philosophy, faith, and way of life is that life is all originated from one thing, one power, one life, one love, one mind, and that we each individualize this power, this life, this mind, this thing itself, as stated earlier, by spirit placing its stamp upon us. And so we not only get to express this thing itself through our mind, through our actions, through our reactions, and our interactions with life itself, but because we live in a universe that is governed by spiritual law, much like the world we live in is governed by physical law, that we experience our understanding and acceptance and alignment of this power that we individualize in life relative to the degree that we become conscious of it. In other words, to the degree that we fine-tune our awareness of the power itself. And in so doing, as we use our minds in a productive and constructive and deliberate and intentional way, we get to change our thinking, ultimately changing our lives. And so life that is here as us, through us, and before us is one where we need not be a victim. We also need not be a victor. We can just simply be a conscious, awakened expression of the thing itself, the divine itself, that which we like to call God. The vision statement for our community is supporting individuals finding their personal self-empowerment through a spiritual awakening. Today, it's my intention, and I know all who's participating in this service, for us to have a spiritual awakening today. A spiritual awakening in this context is a remembrance of who we are as an individualized expression of the collective, the sea of infinite, immortal consciousness that exists. And it exists by means of you and by means of me. And so we like to open our service on Sunday mornings with a morning ritual. This ritual is called Calling in the Light. And as I get our music going, I invite us to anchor ourselves into the space that we're in right now. That seems like very spiritual terminology. What it means is like just get clear where you're at, man. Just take a deep breath in. Look at the light on the screen. Listen to my voice and the music and tune in as opposed to tuning out. This ritual, Calling in the Light, we perform this ceremony to promote the universal consciousness of life, which acknowledges that all peoples and all faiths, all sentient beings come from the one great universal presence, which we call spirit. The purpose of this ritual is to draw into our gathering this morning a conscious awareness of our oneness and the qualities that we possess as complete expressions of the divine. As we feel the vibration shift during this experience, may we become ever more aware of the light of life that exists by means of us. And let's open ourselves as we look at this light to looking at those qualities that we are imbued with. I shall call them out, and I invite you to tune into them and allow each and every one of them to not only resonate within you and an alignment to that resonance field, but let that be in and of itself a spiritual awakening building upon a spiritual awakening building upon a spiritual awakening. These qualities that we are imbued with include, but are not limited to, the word power. Dr. Ernest Holmes defines power by the energy by which everything lives. Today, may we all use this power in ways that propagates good in the world. The second of these qualities are beauty. It's defined as the loveliness of the infinite beheld in its creations by the eye of humanity. The spiritual man beholds this divine loveliness everywhere. I say man meaning the human. So today, let's know together that each sentient being honors all that they experience and express from this place of loveliness. And we each individually and collectively reap the benefits of this intention and this action. The third quality is light. Dr. Holmes says that in flashes of illumination, the inspired have seen into the very center of reality and have brought back with them a distinct expression of what they have seen and felt. And so as this act of inspiration and illumination unfolds for each of us, may we commit to radiating our light unto the world in an affirming manner today and tomorrow and the next day. The next quality is life. In our teaching, life is defined as that animating principle of being, that inner something that makes everything live. Today, let's open to using our life in ways that magnifies all of life itself. And in so doing, ignites a greater awareness and appreciation of and for life itself. Moving to the next quality of love. Love in this terminology is the self-givingness of the spirit through the desire of life to express itself in terms of creation. It's actually a synonym for that fabulous three-letter word, God. And so in this moment and in this ritual, let's know together that all of humanity, individually and collectively, surrenders to spirit to allow it to express itself in ways, new ways, of compassion and respect and peace and understanding, which leads us to the next quality of joy, defined as the emotion excited by the expectancy of good, which includes gladness and delight and exultation. And so today, let's each be open and intentionally choose to radiate joy, and know that as we do so, it returns to us multiplied abundantly. The last quality that we look at is wisdom, which is defined as that intuitive knowing, spiritual intuition, the voice of the divine within and as the source of our understanding in life. It's mental action based on the oneness of life and the pureness of spirit within. And so we now move on to opening up to this affirmation of prayer as an Apache blessing, letting these words envelop all of these qualities for us that are now ignited in a new way. May the sun bring you new energy by day. May the moon softly restore you by night, and may the rain wash away your worries. May the breeze blow new strength into your being, and may you walk gently through the world and know its beauty all the days of your life. Together, let's affirm this is real in our world by saying, I accept, I receive, and I believe. To complete this ritual, James will come on the screen and take us through our song called Calling in the Light. It's a call and response song, and the lyrics will be on the screen.
Calling in the light, calling in the light, calling in the light of love, calling in the light, calling in the light, calling in the light of love. Just repeat after me. I am love, I am peace in my heart, I am free, I am spirit, I am soul, all together we are whole. Calling in the light, calling in the light, calling in the light of love, calling in the light, calling in the light, calling in the light of And so it is, and so it is, and so it is.
And so it is. Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you, James.
Of course.
So you have a song for us.
We do. I do. Proverbial we, I guess.
The oneness of we, right?
Yes.
We, the oneness, and the oneness of we.
I like that.
That's literally could be
Um,
for a song right there. What's the title of the song you're about to sing for us?
it's one y'all probably know and love. It's called Blackbird, by the Beatles. I've been thinking about, I don't know, this one quote, this one line has been sticking with me. It's "You're one decision away from a total life change."
Ah,
Um, I feel like we always have some things we want to change about ourselves, but it's been a particular season of that for me. So
yes, and I believe that having just gone through the qualities of the divine, the way to do that is to call into our spiritual intuition to let it guide us to that decision and how to address it.
yes, yeah. So hopefully this song can kind of do that for
I
us.
love this song, so I'm looking forward to hearing you sing it.
Amazing. Blackbirds singing in the dead of night. Take these broken wings and learn to fly all your life. We were only waiting for this moment to arise. Blackbirds singing in the dead of night. Take these sunken eyes and learn to see all your life. We were only waiting for this moment to be free. Blackbird fly, come on now. Blackbird fly into the light of the dark black night. Blackbird singing in the dead of night. Take these broken wings and learn to fly all your life. We were only waiting for this moment to arise. We're singing, blackbirds singing in the dead of night. Take these sunken eyes and learn to see all your life. We were only waiting for this moment to be free. Blackbird fly, blackbird fly into the light of the dark black night. Singing blackbird fly, blackbird fly into the light of the dark black night.
So fabulous.
Thank you.
So fabulous has so many meanings, you know. So
Yeah, I love how open to interpretation it is.
yes. Um, Thank you. I love it.
Thank you.
Just let the energy of that sit there. So thank you, James. We'll see you in a bit. So the beloved that's going to come on screen is just a piece of my heart and soul on so many levels. And I was having a conversation with her yesterday, both of us expressing how much we've missed seeing each other. It's been a while. And changes have been happening in her life as they have in my life. And as she was sharing stuff with me, I said to her, "Hey, I had reached out to her through a text to say what's going on, and then she called me, and I said, "Would you love to, or would you like to come be in here today to be in service in conversation with me today to share just your wisdom with us?" And it took her a long way to get to a yes, but
Oh, wow. Yes.
but she got to the yes, and part of it is part of what you were sharing yesterday. I think it was just it is your wisdom and it's your way of sharing life, and I know that it would and does have great value for others, and I would love for our community to hear about it. And one of the things that you were sharing yesterday was, if I may paraphrase, two things. One is how you have, through most recent cataract surgery, just almost unbelievably yet so believably clear vision, and that's a metaphor for you as you're going through certain things in your life, and things are showing up in your life that the term you used was from an unexpected source. And being the snotty little student that I am of you, I said, well, I don't think that's quite what we teach. It's not an unexpected source. The source is only one source. It's maybe unexpected avenues, to which we had a conversation about that, right?
Yes, we did. And source has another meaning, obviously. It can
Uh-huh.
mean different things, but I I actually liked what you said, that we have unexpected income from other avenues.
Correct, yes.
And when you said that, it tickled something in me.
Good.
When avenue, it's like a street. How is that unexpected income coming to me? And what I have discovered is the idea of surrender plays a big part
Hmm.
in how well I demonstrate income. And I determined about, oh gosh, I edited the manuscript from hell
Uh-huh.
at the beginning of the year. And I mean, it
Its
was just,
title? Is that the title of that manuscript?
no, it wasn't the title of the manuscript, but it was a story that needed to be written and needs to be heard. It was about the corruption in the social services system in Florida. And so it's fascinating and poignant and yet heart-wrenching to read and edit, as you might imagine. Now, this happened in the early 90s, so almost all the people who were in the book are dead now, and so the book can be written, but it's still ongoing today. So this was a big payday for me when I finally finished this. And I realized at one point that I thought, you know, at my age and in my retirement, why am I working so hard to generate income? Why, what is this uh, obstacle in me that thinks the only way that I can generate income is through hard work? Don't a lot of us have that idea, right? So I decided to take a break from editing and proofreading. And the most wonderful things have happened. Clients that I worked for 6 years ago, 5 years ago, keep putting money into my checking account. You know, the notice that the note that comes with the money says, I couldn't afford to pay you 6 years ago when we worked together, and it changed my life, and I want to compensate you. Another person who's a movie producer, and they were on a dreadful dry spell. And she asked me to treat for her daily for income from unexpected sources. We use that term with her. And all of a sudden, the first week, $500 was in my checking account. The second week, $500. She got paid $5,000 a week for this job that she was doing uh, uh, to fix the mess somebody else had made. And this money's coming into my checking account. I didn't have to edit or proofread one thing. This has all happened in the last 2 months. And so I came to an awareness about this idea of tithing. I tithe fully 10% on everything that comes into me. And they always used to joke at Westlake, that if the check was $193.32, it was written by me. I didn't round up or round down.
Right.
I gave the exact amount of what I had earned for that month and from unexpected avenues. And the the odd part of this is that people are coming with their gifts to me. And I realized that the idea of tithing, which I have been a tither since 1994, when I did a workshop with Edwin Gaines, consistently through that whole time.
Uh-huh.
And I realized that tithing isn't the spiritual principle. The law of giving and receiving is the spiritual principle. So in order for me to be able to give, I have to receive.
Right.
And it's reciprocal. You know, we don't just breathe in, we have to breathe out. It's the law of reciprocity.
I remember Kennedy Schultz saying once, I think it was Kennedy Schultz, about how we have to understand that we are here to reflect the nature of nature, right? And the nature of nature is to give. Now,
Yes,
the other side of that coin is the opportunity to receive.
yes,
But the nature is to give.
yes,
It's not to take, right?
yes.
So, before we go on, I know there are some online, and we really appreciate you who are names I don't recognize. So I'd like you to know that we have the beloved Dr. Maureen Hoyt today here, not just because she's a friend of mine and not just because she's working as an editor, but she is a staple in the New Thought movement, a long time lauded and applauded and heralded and celebrated and acknowledged minister. For many, many years, the founding minister for the Center for Spiritual Living in Granada Hills, and then the minister at the Center for Spiritual Living in Westlake for many years. You're on the doctorate committee, or was for many years in our organization. You've edited Creative Thought, our book for many years, our daily books for many years, as well as you have been on the education committee for years, countless numbers of years. So she's sharing her wisdom with us today, both from a human personal experience of her own and as a friend of mine and a friend of our community, but also of someone who has not only lived and walked this teaching for many, many years, but taught it as well. So
Yes.
We welcome her so much for that. To continue what you're saying, Dr. Maureen, I have right here in front of me, interestingly enough, the 7 Spiritual Laws of Success by Deepak Chopra.
Yeah.
And he says right here, the number 2 law, and I don't think that these are in any order as far as the one's not more primary than the other, but number 2 is practicing the law of giving is actually very simple. If you want joy, give joy to others. If you want love, learn to give love. If you want attention and appreciation, learn to give attention and appreciation. If you want material affluence, help others to become materially affluent. In fact, the easiest way to get what you want is to help others get what they want.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. Wisdom, absolute wisdom. Yeah, I did a 10-week class at Granada Hills on Zoom, actually, which was wonderful because it allowed people from out of state to be able to participate in the class. And we had, as they would say, from the ridiculous to the sublime. We had people in the class who were 30, 40 years in the science of mind. And we had a fellow from Hesperia, Thomas, who just endeared himself to everyone in the class, who had started last November in science of mind. He found the, I guess it's the Apple Valley Center for Spiritual Living that's closest to Hesperia, and he was in the class. But it was a 10-week class, and everyone in the class stayed the course for the whole summer, which is very unusual, right? And at the very end of the class, the curriculum was written. Oh gosh, his name just went out of my head. I'll remember in a little bit. Give me 90 seconds.
What's the title of the class?
The Essential Ernest Holmes.
Oh, okay.
And it was written by, never mind, we will go there in a minute. But at the very end of the book, at almost maybe the 9th out of the 10th week, I heard a turn of phrase by Ernest Holmes that I had never heard before. Now, this book is a compilation of all the best of Ernest Holmes in the
Hence the
essential
title.
Ernest Holmes.
Yes.
Hence the title, yes, of course. And that turn of phrase was unconscious invitation.
Mm-hmm.
Now, almost to a person in the class, everybody went to the negative on the unconscious invitation.
That's
For
interesting.
instance, in the quadrant called relationships, a couple of the students said, I've dated the same, one of the women said, I've dated the same man over and over and over again, disguised in a different costume and different hair color, different height. And she said, I'm unconsciously inviting an abusive personality into my life, right? And I said, yes, you are. But now that you know that, you can't do that anymore. Once we become aware, we can't become unaware. But I also
But that doesn't mean that you necessarily apply your awareness.
know, however, as one of my teachers used to say to me, practice, practice, practice. We begin to practice what we are learning in a way that, as you said, we take our joy out into the world and we share our joy, right? It's a different, I know some of you that I've had as an audience before have heard me use this turn of phrase. People want to be transformed, but they don't want to be inconvenienced. It's and I can hear everybody laughing on there because we all have certain situations in our life where we know we have to make changes, and yet we're settled in the uncomfortable comfort. What's familiar is always easier to deal with than what's unfamiliar. Wouldn't you
One of
agree?
the things that I think is so interesting about that as we evolve in our awareness, all of us, is that, and learning through science, is that we don't, certainly mental science, we don't have to make those changes right away. All that we have to do right away is be receptive to that, set the intention for it, right? And then be open to it coming from those avenues, right? It's being open to the universe providing to us, through us, a life experience different than we had previously had, right?
Yeah.
This quote that I've just been using all week, that was one of our texts from Greg Braden, who writes, according to Bohr and Heisenberg, physicists, the universe exists as an infinite number of overlapping possibilities. They're all there in a kind of quantum soup with no precise location or state of being until something happens to lock one of the possibilities into place, right? And what we know is that to draw those possibilities in our life is done through awareness and intention, and then what you said, surrender.
Yes, absolutely. The my When I surrender, it usually comes from a struggle,
Right.
an initial struggle of some kind. I'm struggling because I'm in a situation where uh, I have to work in tandem with somebody else with the money situation in my life. And it's an uncomfortable situation. It feels like a struggle for me. And so when I surrender to a greater idea that God has in store for me, that this person is not the source and substance of my supply. God is the source and substance of my supply. I release it, I let it go, I give it up to a higher idea, and all of a sudden something changes. Just like you just said with the soup.
The
The
possibilities lock into place.
Yes, absolutely. And the possibilities in my limited thinking are few and far between. But in the grander scheme of things, that if I trying to tell God how it's supposed to show up in my life. God's the only one who knows that. I get to know what, I get to know maybe when, and I get to know who, maybe, but how is totally and completely up to God. And
And
that's what the surrender is all about.
I think the ultimate surrender is not even wanting to know who,
Yes,
what, when.
yes,
The ultimate surrender is steeped in a real, evolved understanding of what God is, for starters.
yes,
You know, an unfailing, infinite, impersonal power. Right? That's important to have that peace, right?
yes,
It's not like the Buddha sitting above you, making on your over your left shoulder, saying, "Oh, you're a good girl today. You're gonna get your good," or "No, you were a, you know, you were a bi when you were at the, ordering your breakfast." Like, no, it's none of that. It's surrendering to this impersonal, infinite, um, non-judgmental, in non-human power, right? That responds, as Ernie tells us, by corresponding, right? And then the piece that I think is so fabulous in this, from this quote, is that so now it gives us a visual of, okay, well, it's all these possibilities are like stars out in the sky, stars even multiplied, right? And it's through that awareness, surrender, and acceptance that that higher power is moving through us. It's like a download, and it locks into place, and then gives us the experience to which we then have the opportunity to accept, receive, and engage.
yep.
Right?
The
Not to control it, accept it.
Well, speaking of control, I had this client uh, who said to me finally on our third session together, she said, "I am sick of hearing you talk about surrender. It just makes me so angry every time you say that." And I said, "So tell me more." Like her anger was palpable. It was just she had this look on her face that was distorted. Anyway, I said, "Well, tell me more about that." And she said, "I've spent my whole life controlling things, and now you're telling me to surrender." She said, "This doesn't make sense for me in my life." And I said, "Well, we're not talking about white flag surrender. We're not giving up, you're not giving up your thinking. You're not giving up your your personality. You're not giving up those kinds of things. What you're doing is you're surrendering to a greater idea of what could possibly happen." And she looked at me and she said, "Well, why didn't you say that in the first place?"
And you said because elbow, knee, ankle, ass.
No, I didn't say that. I
That's
didn't
an
say that.
inside joke, you guys. Sorry to.
Yes. So the thing about surrender has a negative connotation for some people, but it's not the same surrender as in ceding to somebody else's power.
Well, traditionally, surrender, we're taught to believe that surrender is an act of weakness.
Yes.
Right? What we're speaking of is surrender in an act of strength, a strength that is steeped in faith and trust, right?
Yes.
It's
Yes.
like one of my coaches years ago. I was in a moment, and everybody's heard the story. I was like, "Eh." It was about real estate, and he said to me, I'll never forget him saying to me, "Sit down and shut up." Very few people could talk to me like that. I was like, okay. He says to me, "I'm going to ask you some questions." I'm like, okay. He goes, "One, do you believe there's a power greater than you?" "Yes, I do." "Two, what do you call it?" I said, "I call it God." He goes, "Okay." He goes, "The third, and do not answer this until you're really clear on the answer." I said, "What?" He goes, "Has it ever failed you?" And I sat there for a second,
Mm.
and then I said, "No." And as I said no, he clapped his hands together. He goes, "And it never will. Now get over it. Stop thinking that way." And it was such a turning point in my life. And that's those moments of spiritual awakening where we have the opportunity to move to a new awareness, a new ideology, i.e., that surrender isn't an act of weakness. In fact, it's an act of strength, opening up to the grace of God, really.
Yeah. Yeah.
Last week, I spoke of um, the theme for the month is the transformational nature of nature. And what I talked about last week was that grace is one of those. And if we're willing to open up to that, then we immediately open up the avenue for that to come in, right?
Yeah. So I did have cataract surgery 3 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
And prior to having the surgery, I had this impression that everything was gray.
Gray?
That I said to my friend Shirley about watching television, why are they filming so dark? I can't see the people on the screen clearly. And she goes, I know. Well, it turns out she had cataracts too. So we were both sort of commiserating with one another in that arena. But the day that I had the surgery done and my son was driving me home and I had on these really awful looking glasses that they give you to wear, everything was bright. I could see the leaves on the trees. It wasn't just a big blob of green. I could see the leaves on the trees. And so I had to do some self-examination as what is it that I was unwilling to look at? And why was I perceiving everything as grayed down? And I realized that this was something I had to pray into. I had to treat into because to make that complete switch the day after when I went for the follow-up, he did an eye exam and he said, you have 20/20 vision. And I thought, I haven't had 20/20 vision in 6 years. And then I went back to what happened 6 years ago. And I thought, well, aren't I just my own demonstration? Because I had spent the last 6 years feeling angry about our democracy, about the situation in our country, about the racism, about everything that I could possibly feel bad about. I was feeling bad about, but I was unable to see a solution to it. I marched with Angela Davis in the 60s with my fake afro and my business suit down Montgomery Street in San Francisco, thinking we got this all handled. And now it was coming up again at my advanced age. So I realized as I'm doing my self-examination that the error of thinking is in me, not in what I'm perceiving as happening out there. And yes, not good things are happening. I get that. But as Edgar Casey said years ago, the consciousness of one person can change the consciousness of a whole room. And that's what collectively I have to remember that I'm an encourager. I want to go back to the unconscious invitation though, because now that I'm conscious about how I had been inviting certain situations into my life, now that I am consciously inviting better situations into my life, things are changing dramatically. I mean, in the 4 quadrants, we unconsciously invite maybe the same health challenges over and over again. But once we become conscious, we can now consciously invite health and vitality into our lives. So we're about
So
the
speak
pairs
of
of
just remind everyone what the 4 quadrants are, please.
health, wealth, creative expression or employment, and health, wealth, and relationships.
Old
So,
school metaphysics.
in all of those areas, we unconsciously invite. We notice the negative things more than we notice the positive things, I think, and that needs to be reversed. Ernest Holmes said, if we take whatever the polar opposite is of what we're feeling, and it's a negative feeling, and enlarge upon that, life changes in miraculous and wonderful ways. And so watching that and working with my clients on the unconscious invitation It's like the worst use of your imagination that you could possibly experience when it's the negative. But by contrast, it's the best when you're consciously inviting certain things into our lives. And I just think that I'm going to do a whole workshop on this, a 4 hour workshop on just this one idea. Um,
Well, I
uh,
have a title for you.
Pardon?
I have a title for you for your
You
workshop.
do? Are you
Because you
wanting to
just
share it
spoke of it.
now?
Huh? I'm going to share it now, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's the twinkling of the eye. So what you spoke of, see? What you spoke of, which as you're talking about with the cataracts and having been in the gray, and then immediately was we have been
Illuminate.
taught, we've been taught all our metaphysical lives that healing can happen in the twinkling of an eye, right? So that's a metaphor in the literal sense of what you experienced, right? Um, but we all have before us the opportunity right now to open to that new way of seeing life, right? The new way of participating in life. You spoke of treating, right? And in our philosophy, it's treat is the word for prayer, spiritual
Yes.
mind treatment,
Yes.
in the affirmative, right? So I love that example that you shared with us because what it shows for us, it literally puts into play this quote by Greg Braden. It's a physical example of all of the possibilities in the quantum soup, and you walk out of the doctor's office. Granted, science and wisdom and intelligence had participated in this healing, but none of it could have if you hadn't been open and surrendered to it, right? Nobody chased you down the hall and stuck you with a needle and threw you on the table. You all did that. You did that through a surrender and willingness, right? And then look at the outcome, right? It's a physical experience of what we teach in metaphysics, right?
Yeah.
So
So during the surgery, I was so happy to have this done because it had been postponed 3 times. The first time I was supposed to have it done was in March of 2020, and that was it was an elective and non-life threatening surgery, so it got postponed because of the quarantine. Anyway, as we're in there, for those of you who may need to have it done or haven't had it done or have had it done, you'll understand what I'm saying. As we're on the table and they put the laser in my eye. My eyeball is frozen because they've anesthetized the eyeball. I'm in twilight anesthetic, so I'm appreciating everything that's going on. And they put this laser in, and they said, the surgeon said, "You're going to see bubbles, you're going to see colors, you're going to see all kinds of things." And I'm laying there, and I all of a sudden I said out loud, "Oh my God, it's psychedelic." And the whole operating room just cracked up, right? They all started laughing. And the surgeons said, he said, "Yes, it is psychedelic because there were bubbles and they had rims of silver around them and they were blue and it was all different colors and everything." And I thought I needed to explain it a little bit. I said, "After all, I am a child of the 60s." And then they all cracked up even more. But what was interesting is I was the last patient of the day. And uh, the doctor called me a rock star. I've never been called a rock star in my life. Called me a rock star. And he said, "It was like you were so receptive to having this done and wanting to see the results of what was done that," he said, "you were the absolute perfect patient."
I love it.
Now, I accused him the day after of saying that to everybody that he worked on. But he said, no, he said, "It's almost as if you were working in tandem with me." And it was that's exactly what it felt like. I was so anxious to be able to see clearly on so many different levels, Keith, so many different levels, that this was just sort of the frosting on the cake, if you will.
I love it. Well, thank you so very much for sharing with us today.
You're
And,
welcome.
and I just can feel in your being and your voice the shift that has happened as a result of this.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
I knew and know that it would be something that our congregation and our community would love to hear and can relate to, as can I. I
Yeah.
think that it's so easy for all of us to get caught up in the minutia of what takes place in the world today, and certainly without a doubt, there's a lot of less than positive things happening in the world. And I know that there are people in our community that's having surgery very soon. And what a great thing that you can share with us. You're going through the process of surgery and came out literally with crystal clear vision, right? It's an example of the possibilities that exist within all of us for seeing with a new set of eyes. You know, I often hearken back to Michael Beckwith does this new thought rap music, if you will, that I listen to a lot. And I've had my students listen to it in a class. And he talks about waking up. Let's wake up. It's time to wake up, right? It's time to wake up. And he'll say that. And it's all about shaking you up, you know, to open up to God itself. And then he goes on to say, and we're called here to do what the Buddha does, which is to see with the eyes behind the eyes,
Yes.
hear with the ears behind the
Yes.
ears, and feel with the heart behind the heart. And that, I think, is what was happening through and for you, and I think is what is being called for all of us, is
Yeah.
to do that. So know that here at the Center for Spiritual Living Los Angeles, we love us, Samomo Maureen Hoyt, and adore you. And just know that you're always a part of our community here, and welcome to share your wisdom anytime you want.
Well, you know what it feels like is a family reunion.
Uh-huh.
Yesterday, Ernesto, and I do call him Ernesto
Uh-huh.
instead of Jesus because John McClane used to call him that. But Ernesto posted something on Facebook, and I wish I'd written it down, and I can't find it. I
It's
wanted to find it
online. You
this
might be able
morning.
to throw it in the quotes, but yes.
Yes, maybe. But when I can read that without glasses.
Uh-huh.
You know, this is what is um, that part in and of itself is remarkable. And somebody said to me, and just quickly, I'll say this, and if you are such a good religious scientist, how come you had vision problems? And I thought to myself, well, I quoted Ernest Holmes again. You know, when the woman asked him if he was such a good religious scientist, why did he wear glasses? And he said, Madam, I wear my error on my nose. Where do you wear yours?
Yeah. Well, I can tell you where I would have worn mine. If someone would have asked me that, I'd say to them, well, for starters, I need to do forgiveness work for what I just told you to do in my mind, right? Right? And it's right. And there's an F and an O there, right? And
Yes,
then second off, I wear glasses because I'm human, right? We're
yes,
human. We're human. We're human.
yes, yes.
Being human, we need to call it to a close so that
Okay.
we move on.
Um, it goes so fast,
I
doesn't it?
know.
It does. Thank you, Keith, for asking me. I appreciate it.
Always, always. So,
Spontaneous, spontaneous.
yeah. So I'll see you soon. Love you.
Yes, you will.
So James has a song for us, everyone, right now, and he's going to take us through that, and then we'll come back in a moment and wrap up our service. Just what a blessing to share this time with Reverend Dr. Maureen. James?
May you have auspiciousness and causes of success. May you have the confidence to always do your best. May you take no effort in being generous, sharing what you can, nothing more, nothing less. May you know the meaning of the word happiness. May you always lead from the beating in your chest. May you be treated like an esteemed guest. May you get to rest, may you catch your breath. May the best of your todays be the worst of your tomorrows. Whoa, may the road less paved be the road that you follow. Whoa, well, here's to the hearts that you're gonna break. Here's to the lives that you're gonna change. Here's to the infinite possible ways to love you. Here's to the good times we're gonna have. You don't need money to get a free pass. Here's to the fact that I'll be sad without you. I want you to have it Oh, oh, oh. I want you to have it all. Want you to have it all. Want you to. May you be as fascinating as a slap bracelet. May you keep the chaos and clutter off your desk. May you have unquestionable health and less stress. Having no possession though immeasurable wealth. May you get a gold star on your next test. May your educated guesses always be correct. May you win prizes shining like diamonds. May you really own it each moment to the next. May the best of your days be the worst of your tomorrows. Whoa, may the road less paved be the road that you follow. Whoa, and here's to the heart that you're gonna break. Here's to the lives that you're gonna change. Here's to the infinite possible ways to love you. Here's to the good times we're gonna have. Don't need money, you get a free pass. Here's to the fact that I'll be sad without you. Want you to have it all, all, all. Want you to have it all. Want you to have it here. Want you to have it all. I said, oh, oh, oh. I want you to have it all. I want us to have it all. I want us to have it all. Hey.
Thank you so much, James.
Of
So
course.
beautiful. So fabulous. Fabulous, fabulous. Always wonderful to have you here. Thank you, brother.
Always wonderful to be here. Thank you for having me, Keith.
So, everyone, now's the opportunity to support our community through conscious giving. If we're tithers, to step into tithing in a new way today, as Dr. Maureen was talking about, understanding in a new way and participating in the law of giving. If you'd like to do that and support our community, the ways to do that is you can go to our website, csl-la.org, and click on donate. You can go to the app in the App Store, Center for Spiritual Living Los Angeles, and click on the upper left bars. The screen will come up and you can see the donate tab, as well as you can mail in a check. Our address is 1200 North La Brea Avenue, West Hollywood, California 90038, or call me directly. My number's on the screen. Let's all take a moment and affirm together that we consciously give so that we stay in the abundance of the universe, not out of guilt, but out of a greater wisdom and understanding of the nature of nature. That as we give with an open hand, it's extended from an open heart, and that good continues to propagate itself by means of each one of us. And so today is the day that we give anew, renewed, and restored in the faith of the divine itself, knowing it's always, always, always doing its part. And so it is. James is going to come on and take us through our conscious giving song, Love is My Decision, when we all take a moment to give. James?
Love is my decision. It's up to me to give of my heart. Love is my decision. No one else can tell me to start. Once I decide to change my mind, Source will show me how. Love is my decision, right here, right now.
And so it is. A big thank you to all of you for being here today. What a wonderful day to come together and remember and be reminded of the power of the divine that exists by means of you and by means of me. A big thank you to James Harper, our musician, and know that we always love having him here, but today is such a very special day, knowing that he's had such a peak time and such a huge experience in his life. Congratulations again, James. A big thank you to Travis Smith, our audio technician, and for taking such great care of us always. And today, having to get up and go in early to work on another project and still take time for us. Thank you, Travis. A big thank you to Robert Hensley, our administrative assistant and social media dude, who also takes such great care of us and is just about to take off on a cross-country trip again, and so is always keeping those different projects and balls juggling in the air. Thank you, and safe travels to you, Robert. A big thank you to the one and only Dr. Maureen Hoyt for sharing her time with us this morning. Her hesitation, she stated, in saying yes yesterday when I put her on the spot, was just she hasn't had a morning off in ages. And so we honor you for taking time in your day to share your wisdom and your heart and your being and your light with us. We love you. And once again, a thank you to all of you, whether you've joined us through Facebook Live and or Zoom, or will appreciate this time that we've shared together at a later date through our YouTube channel. All the information around our community can be found at our website, csl-la.org, as well as you can use the App Store, as well as you can find us on social media sites such as Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and know that we also have a weekly e-newsletter that goes out on Mondays, sometimes Tuesdays. If you'd like to receive that, you can do so through our website and or the app. There's a new thought text for the day that goes out each morning at 7:30. It's a great way to be reminded as you start your day on the wisdom of life that is at our disposal. You can sign up for that also through those various different sites. I want to let you know that we'll be back in person again on November 13th. I would really cherish for all of you to not only be there, but to invite a friend. It would be great to have more people in the room than we've been having. And that's 2 weeks away, November 13th. Know that next Sunday is the Sunday that we turn our clocks back, fall back, I believe is what we do. So be prepared for that. Also have a midweek morning meditation every Wednesday morning at 8:30 that's online. It's a great way to anchor yourself into the awareness that exists within each and every one of us. We have spiritual practitioners available if you are in need of healing or someone that you'd like to connect with in regards to spiritual mind treatment. You can find that information again on our website or the various different sources, our apps. And I would like to close today by reminding you all that you matter, that you are perfect, you are whole, and you are complete just as you are. And that as we each make the decision to make a commitment to open up to seeing life through a new set of eyes, that the life itself, this thing we call God, and if you don't like that word, use another word, it doesn't change its nature. But that as we open and surrender to it gives us more and more of its innate qualities. We opened our service today by being reminded that those qualities are peace and power and beauty and joy and light and life and love and wisdom. It's all there within you. And if you want to experience more of it, as I know I do, then what we're called to do is to be that. I affirm it for each one of us today. Thank you for being here. May you have a blessed day, a blessed week, and know that everywhere you go, you make a difference. Let's just make a choice as to what that difference is going to be. Have a great day. If you're joining us on Facebook, we're going to say goodbye. If you're joining us on Zoom, you can turn your cameras on for a moment and we'll all say hello. Peace and blessings.